Here are the top risers and fallers heading into week 7 of the fantasy football season. The risers, quarterback Jaxson Dart runs for 58 yards and a touchdown against the Eagles. 3 starts for Dart, 3 games with at least 54 rushing yards. That is bankable volume, especially in your Superflex league. But look, Jaxson Dart has been throwing some touchdown passes as well. So the yardage from passing may not be great, but everything else works. He could be an emergency streamer as much as he is a Superflex option. Joe Flacco comes in off the street, less than a week, faces Green Bay, throws 2 touchdowns. He has Jamar Chase. He has T. Higgins. He's going to be in the shotgun. Even though the offensive line is bad, he is smart enough to get the ball to those 2-star receivers. Green Bay wasn't the easiest matchup. There'll be plenty of easier matchups. Joe Flacco is going to be just fine in your super flex leagues. He'll throw the interceptions, but he'll make his own fortune. Running back risers, Cam Skattebo. Wow. 98 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns against the Eagles. Caught a couple passes as well. Cam Skattebo has simply been getting it done. In 3 of the last 4 games, he's been over 110 scrimmage yards. In the game he missed, oh shucks, he only had 90 scrimmage yards. And the 3 touchdown explosion, what an exciting young player, but his stock is heavily on the rise. Also, Josh Jacobs is on the rise. The first 3 games of the season, Josh Jacobs was not doing great for fantasy. He was getting his 17, 18 PPR points, which was fine. In the last 2 games, the Dallas game goes for 157 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns, and then he plays Cincinnati. Another 150 scrimmage yards with 2 more touchdowns. Josh Jacobs is looking like the league winner he was in the second half of last season. Next, Bam Knight. Look, Amari DiMercado was going to play this game. He hurt his ankle. Bam Knight split work equally with Michael Carter. Knight fell in the end zone to give him a slight fantasy advantage. He and Carter played almost dead even in terms of yardage. But look, volume's king in fantasy football, and right now, Bam Knight may be getting some volume, which makes him viable in your fantasy lineups. Wide receiver risers, Wan'Dale Robinson. Look, Wan'Dale Robinson had that huge game in week 2 against Dallas, 142 yards and a touchdown, and then he played Philly. And if the Giants weren't blowing them out, he would have had a bigger game, but we're still not going to argue. 6 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. We are going to see a lot of targets for Wan'Dale Robinson. Jaxson Dart's going to get a little more confidence in each game, but Wan'Dale Robinson's a good player. Short and intermediate receiver, but he really has some creation after the catch. Not going to be great every week, but you're going to be glad in your PPR league you got him on your roster. Next, Kendrick Bourne. 2 straight games with 142 receiving yards. Now, both with Mac Jones, I don't know how long Jones is a starter. I don't know if Ricky Pearsall's going to keep missing time. We know Jauan Jennings played, but he is really beat up. Supposedly 5 broken ribs, high and low ankle sprains. As long as Mac Jones is in, Kendrick Bourne could be a very strong fantasy performer. Maybe not 142 yards a game, but certainly quite good. Next, Lad McConkey. We finally got the game we were hoping for. Playing Miami, the cure for most ills. 7 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Chargers down to their 3rd string right tackle, 2nd string left tackle. Omari and Hampton out. We knew Justin Herbert's going to have to throw the ball short and intermediate. Guess what? Perfect for McConkey. The beginning of good things to come for the young superstar. Kayshon Boutte's next. 5 for 93 and 2 touchdowns against New Orleans. We saw him in week 1. 6 for 103. He had 1 catch in week 2. It was a touchdown. They don't use him much, but when they use him, he is a good player. Stash him on your roster. If the coaching staff figures out, we got to get this kid the ball. You've got Diggs. He's great. But Boutte's great as well. Get him the ball, but stash him in case he starts seeing some regular action. T. Higgins is the next riser. 62 yards against Green Bay. Season high, but Joe Flacco is in, and that's the point. We saw some miserable performance from T. Higgins. 33 or fewer yards in 4 of his first 5 games. This is the beginning of something good. He'll be targeted from a quarterback that could get him the ball. Higgins will have some upside games. The floor will be raised. Definitely on the rise, T. Higgins. Tight end, Evan Engram. Evan Engram has 4 or 5 catches in the last 3 games. His yardage has gone up in 3 straight games from 29 to 33 to 42. Scored a touchdown against Philly. He is becoming a vital part of the Denver offense. So wheels up for Evan Engram. Engram. Also, Dallas Goedert. Goedert coming into the week 6 game wasn't getting a lot of yardage. We saw a decrease every game, 44, 33. He had a 37 in there, and then 19. But he had scored 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Well, he broke that whole mold against the Giants. 9 catches, a $110 and a touchdown. I imagine the touchdown luck has to dry up, but you know what? Maybe that's the connection he has with Jalen Hurts this year. Great start for Dallas Goedert. Next, Harold Fannin. Unfortunately, we saw David Njoku leave the Week 6 game with a knee injury, and Fannin goes on to catch 7 passes for 81 yards. If Njoku misses time, those short targets got to go somewhere, and Harold Fannin is going to be eating to his heart's content and seeing a lot of targets. Hopefully Njoku's well, but if he's not, Fannin is going to blow up. Finally, Oronde Gadsden. He may have been a beneficiary of a wide receiver, Quentin Johnston, being out, and the short passing attack we knew they had to use against Miami's blitz. Gadsden worked in with Keenan Allen and McConkey, but Gadsden had 7 catches for 68 yards. We even saw in week 3, 5 catches for 46 yards. The rookie, the more the season goes on, the more usage he could get. He could be interesting as things move forward. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit like and subscribe. Helps us keep that fantasy advice rolling your way. If you want even more of RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. Go to rotowire.com, choose that subscription, and use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, the faller is Justin Fields. Fields has had 3 very good fantasy games. Garbage time counts, it's fine. But when Fields is not going on, it's terrible. Week 2 against Buffalo, I know he left with a concussion, but even so, he was playing horribly. And then against Denver, taking 9 sacks, 45 passing yards, 31 rushing yards, no touchdowns. Fields' floor is so low, he can lose you your week. Next, Bo Nix. Bo Nix has 2 good games, Indianapolis week 2, Cincinnati week 4. Other than that, not a whole lot of production. Bo Nix has 1 touchdown pass in 3 of his last 4 games and 4 of 6 games. Bo Nix has been held under 207 yards in 4 of 6 games. He has moments, but for fantasy, don't think you can trust him in your starting lineup. Running backs, Breece Hall, 22 carries was great, 59 yards. And for whatever reason, against Denver can't stop receiving running backs. Hall didn't see a single pass thrown his way in a game where Fields was getting sacked 9 times. Now, the golden lining, possibly, silver lining, golden lining for Breece Hall, if they trade him. Chargers are looking for a running back. Some other teams might be looking for a running back. If Hall gets dealt off, maybe things change. But right now, it's a real on and off situation. Next, Saquon Barkley. Barkley had a high floor in the beginning games of the season, but then we saw him in the last 2 games. 30 rushing yards. He only had 6 rushing attempts against Denver. Now he got a receiving touchdown, bailed him out. But then against New York, the Giants, 12 for 58, 2 for 9. It's a real problem. Not Barkley, but the way that offense is being run, and Barkley's ceiling has not been there because of the coaching staff. Next, Kenneth Walker. Walker's had 2 really good games. I think Zach Charbonnet was out in at least one of those games. But here's the deal. They split work Charbonnet and Walker. And in games where Walker faced a defense that stuffs the outside run, he has no chance. Jacksonville in week 6, that was a defense that crushes the outside run. Walker, 10 carries, 34 yards. Good player, bad situation. He'll split work, floor play, that's it. Tony Pollard, look, avoid everything Tennessee. Pollard, 10 carries, 34 yards, doesn't have more than 67 yards in 5 of 6 games. Good player, unfortunately can't use him. Jauan Jennings is next. 1 catch for 7 yards. Said he had 5 broken ribs, low and high ankle sprains. Obviously nowhere close to being healthy, but on the field, probably not going to be able to do much of it for the next few weeks. Troy Franklin, he's losing snaps to Pat Bryant now. And so now the problem is he used to be 70% of the snaps plus weeks 1 through 3. Now he's in that 50 to 60% bucket, and the targets are going down. Fun is kind of over. 3 catches for 19 yards against the Jets. Keenan Allen, great start, 60-plus yards in 3 games with a touchdown. Last 3 games, 2 of those games under 38 yards. Maybe age is catching up. Rashid Shaheed, again, week 5, great game, but otherwise, he's been beneath 53 yards in every other game. Team isn't scoring a lot of touchdowns. And then at tight end, Mason Taylor had 2 great weeks in weeks 4 and 5. Comes back with 1 catch for 2 yards. Investing in the Jets offense, other than Garrett Wilson, probably a bad bet. Love Mason Taylor, hate the situation.